Alright, so here's the dual tier list. I already recorded everything I'm about to just say, but my mic wasn't plugged in, so I was using my desktop mic, I guess, and it did not sound good. I just didn't like how it sounded. So I'm basically gonna be saying everything I just said, but again, to shit like that happen, and that's just what happens when you record videos. So enough complaining about that. Um, I think there's basically I've done Peggle tier lists in the past, but I haven't done a dual tier list, and I think it's important to quantify how you're really ranking the characters. 'Cause I think there's three categories. There's duel. There's points, which like either points or peg party or those score challenges. A peg party is only a 360 and a PS3, so you're really not going to see a lot of people talk about that. And then there's either like a speedrun category or just clearing the level is efficient or quick. And we'll probably do that another time, the other two, but for now I'm just gonna do duel. So uh we'll just start with Yorn. Yorn is pretty bad in duel because his super guide is just not good. So the only good thing about Yorn is that you can hit his power early. Being able to use your power early in duel is important because you don't want the other person getting your greens. You want to be able to take that green and use it for yourself. Usually, you would expect each player to get one green, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. One player gets both, so you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you don't get a green and you lose by a landslide. But Yorn is nice in the way that he's not really map dependent usually, unless there's a lot of moving shit. He's not too map dependent, and he's not dependent on where the peg is, and you can hit his power early on. So that's nice at least. But besides that, the problem with Yorn is that he doesn't give you any extra points. Like getting a long shot is not extra points. Like, you can do that with any fucking character. So Jimmy in duel is meh. Problem with you can at least hit his power early, but problem with Jimmy, very map dependent, very dependent where the peg is. If the peg is on the bottom of the board, you might as well just kiss the wing goodbye because the multi ball is just going to drop down. If the peg is in the corner, kiss the wing goodbye because one ball is just going to get stuck on the wall usually. Same thing with Renfield. I might as well just do Renfield and Jimmy right now because they're so similar. It's basically just preference. I mean, I usually go back and forth. It's a toss up, coin flip, 50-50, Redfield and Jimmy. They both fucking suck. They're both garbage. But one days I'm like, multi ball's better. One day I'm like, spooky ball's better. They both suck. I really could not care for either of their powers. But in duel, it's really just a preference. I think Renfield is a little better because at least if there's a green peg at the bottom of the map, his spooky ball will drop back from the top. But Jimmy, if that happens, then you're pretty much not getting anything. But I feel like multi ball, you have a little more control over where it goes. You can manipulate that second ball. Like if you want that second ball to go to the left side, you hit it from the right, or if you want it to go to the right, you hit it from the left. Um, you can control a little bit more rather than spooky ball, which I just feel is a little too random. Get stuck on a wall a little too much. But what's good about Renfield and Jimmy, once again, you can hit their power early. You don't have to save it. Uh, Kata isn't horrible in duel. He's pretty much garbage in the rest of the game, but in duel he's not bad because his pyramid lasts for 5 turns, and he doesn't have to worry about where the peg is, what map it is, because his pyramid does not affect the board at all. So he doesn't have to worry about any of that garbage. This also what makes his power bad, but in duel it makes it a little better because he doesn't have to worry about, oh, if I use the green in this spot, it's not gonna do anything. No, his pyramid, it just doesn't do anything except for just extend the size of buckets. So um the reason why I'm not putting him in complete D tier is because his pyramid lasts 5. So like even if you're going against a Zen shot, they can get a really good Zen shot, but you still got your pyramid for the next 4 turns. So get your pyramid pile ups, your pyramid pick up, all that stuff. It is not going to be bad. So yeah, at least his pyramid lasts a while. You can hit it early, and you're getting it for 3, 4 turns compared to every other power, which is 1 or 2 turns. Or Claude is 3, but even that's not really close, right? So Splork is terrible in Duel. Sorry to say, 'cause I love Splork's power, but in Duel, not really good. It Space Blast. You really want to use your Space Blast in the late game when you have that purple, you have that multiplier up. You can use it in the early game to clear an area, but at that point, you're really just clearing a bunch of blues, which is not how you want to play the game because one, you're destroying blues, which really doesn't help you do anything, and two, you're just usually destroying a part of the map which you probably want to save for later. You don't want to destroy like slides or anything like that, or any kind of shot you can make later. It's just generally you don't want to play the game like that. You're just destroying the board to destroy the board. When you destroy the board, you want to get a free ball, you want to get points, you want to clear out oranges, something along those lines. You want to be setting up a shot for later. You don't want to just blow up a chunk of the board because, oh, my power's there, I might as well use it. No, that's stupid. The problem with Splork is that he's very map dependent, very green peg location dependent, and he's very dependent on if there's oranges or purples near his power, which can also screw you over. So if you're Splork, you might use your power early, you might get nothing. You might get nothing. You might hit both Space Blast and get nothing. So because his power is better in the elite games. So you use it in the early game, you're not going to get much. Next character hits their power, maybe they're Warren, they get a triple score, they get a hat. They're going to get more value than you did because Space Blast just does nothing in the beginning. So you don't want to use your Space Blast in the beginning, but if you don't use it, the other person's going to use their power if you don't take it, or they'll use their power again if you don't take it. So you're just in a lose-lose situation if you're a Splork. You either use your power early and get nothing, or they take the power and they get everything. So you're just screwed with Splork and Duel. Claude isn't terrible. Um, at least his flippers last a while. And the good thing about Claw is that you always want to use your flippers early. Like Claw is the one character where you always use your power in the beginning, no matter the map, because the maps that funnel the ball to the edges of the flippers, you always want to use early before they get destroyed. So you can always hit your power early. And you can always hit the second one early if you get the chance. So it's really nice in Duel that you don't have to worry about, oh, should I hit my power now or should I go for the next one, or should I just have to go for like no, no? And Claude's power can get you oranges on the way down, which is nice. So, but I know people are gonna bring it up like, oh, you have to hit oranges in Duel. I mean, it's usually better just go for the green. You're gonna hit oranges usually if you hit, even if you hit multi ball, you're gonna hit one orange. Right? It's just not possible. So. Even hitting the pyramid instead of orange is better because you're gonna make up those points eventually and then some. So Claude Slipper is good because you'll get two extra turns compared to their power on average. And but the only problem with Claude is that if they destroy the board, then it's not gonna funnel to the sides as well because you know if I have Fireball, I'm not gonna leave much left. So I could just destroy the middle of the board, and then when you hit your flippers, the ball falls in the middle, and there's nothing there. They keep it rolling back to the sides. So Claude's only going to select few maps, but he's not complete F tier. Tula is nice in duels. She fills the multiplier quick, which can get you a lot of points. She's probably the best character so far. Obviously, gets you a lot of those mega shot bonuses in duel. And what's good is that you can hit her power early. Even in the late game, it's good because it could maybe get you a hard to reach orange. And remember in Duel, when crunch time comes and you have those oranges that are in the corner or hiding, those shits are hard to get, and you don't want to lose a forfeit your score in Duel because if you got 100k, the other person got 80k, and then you lose a forfeit your score, you're losing now. You're 75k, so you lose that 25% score, and then your Tula, and you don't have to worry about hitting that hard to reach orange. So even in the late game, Tula is really good in Duel. She's pretty damn good. So I would say that she could even be A, but I'm gonna be safe and say B because on average you have to remember Flower Power still isn't giving you as many points as it could be. So yeah, it's just really nice. You can hit her power is really good in the early and late game because Duel puts an emphasis on oranges. So yeah, Warren could be B, he could be C, could be A. Warren's tough because he could easily be B, but he could be A. I'm gonna say he's on average B because it's just it's 50% of the time he's Magic Hat, okay? And I just don't think the hat is better than the flower power for Duel. I just don't. I think the flower power is much more flexible. much more versatile. I feel like the hat, you really don't want the hat in the early game. You want the hat when you can set up a really good shot for it. You can set up a slide, or you can have one area of the map for the hat. I just don't think it's good to hit the lucky spin early on, and then even if you get a triple score, I mean, if you get a triple score early in the game, I mean, if you don't have the purple, you don't have the oranges to multiply that with, you're not really gonna get much. But at least with Warren's score, his score does last 2 turns, so that is kind of tempting me to think that maybe he could go in A, but you have to remember, he has just as good a chance to get triple score as he does Space Blast or Renfield's power, Spooky Ball, or Multi Ball. So you have to be wary of that he can also get those powers. So it's just hard to say. He has just as good a chance to get triple score as any other power. He could get Electro Ball too. He could get Fireball, but Zen Ball, you just don't know what you're gonna get. So that's why I have to stick him in B. It just it's hard to say. He could be A or B. It's just a coin flip. Uh, but genuinely, I have to say B because it's just not the best to use the hat or the triple score early in the game. So Cinderbottom's good because he's one of the few characters that can target a specific area. So even in the late game, if you have an orange in a bad spot, he can just fireball it. If you have a purple in a good spot, he can just hone in on it. Fireball's not the greatest in the early game, but you can also steal the other green with it, which is really nice because Cinderbottom and Marine are pretty much the only characters that they can just shoot wherever they want, basically with their abilities. So if they have a green or a purple they want, they're gonna get it. So Cinderbottom pretty good for that. Ideally, you don't want his power early because you want to have the multiplier up. You don't want to hit a bunch of blues. Same thing with Splork. You don't want to hit a bunch of blues and get no points, and then you just ruin the board. So a lot of time that happens in Duel. If you use Sins about him early, he kind of just ruins the board. Especially when you have two people destroying the board at once. The board goes by quick. Uh-oh. Oh, that'll happen because Cinnabon, his power's probably the best at clearing pegs. He'll clear the most pegs on average. He's gonna get the most points. Sometimes he'll get the most, but he's gonna clear the most pegs on average of any power. So that's why sometimes he could just completely destroy the map for better or worse. Zen is almost always good because we know even in the early game without multiplier, he's gonna get a nice shot. And in duel, you'll take those 20k shots because they're hard to come by in the early game. Late game, I mean, he's just a powerhouse. I mean, he's gonna get you like 50, 60k in a late game. He's gonna hit that green. He's gonna hit that purple, and God forbid they didn't hit the other green because you know Zen loves to get the other green. He always gets the other Zen. So if they didn't hit their green in the early game, he's gonna get both, and then you're really dumb. If they get two Zen balls, they're gonna win almost always. So, but you see about a lot of powers. They get two fireballs, they're gonna win almost always. So, um, Zen isn't the greatest in the early game, but in duel, you'll take those points easily. So Electrable, pretty overpowered. Just because you can target pretty much any area you want. Electrable's not bad in the early game either. You can really just target an area of oranges. You can target the purple peg. You can target the other green peg if they didn't steal it. Just like that. You can steal it so easily. It's not like your Jimmy or your Renfield and you just have to hope and pray wherever your ball goes. You're Electrable, so you can just zap whatever area of the map you want. And, even if you only get one, that's really all you need. All you really need is one electro bolt. You bolt one side of the map, and then your ball takes care of the rest. So, electro bolt's pretty overpowered. So, that's a dual tier list. I feel like Warren could either be A or B. Cinderbottom in A, I think makes sense. He's not as good as the other two, but he's better than the rest. But Warren could be better than him in some circumstances. Claude's the best of the C tier characters, in my opinion. Renfield and Jimmy, coin flip, they both suck. It's kind of just a preference. And then Splork and Yorn are pretty bad, so.